I think part of growing up is harnessing things that might not be so great about yourself and, not getting rid of them, but finding a way to make them work for you, right? And so you just take that and make it into a positive.
Welcome to Beyond the Bar podcast. I'm your host, Anisa Tova. And today I have a very special guest, Gabriella Formosa, on the show. She is a family law attorney and a partner at a law firm called Greenblatt Law LLC. And Gabriella brings a unique perspective. She balances mediation, litigation, but the point of the podcast is to sort of peel the layers and go beyond the professional title. And I cannot wait to dive into her personal story. Gabriella, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Denise.
It's such a pleasure. Really, really, really is. So tell me, how and why did you become an attorney? That is a tough, tough field to be in.
Yes, and matrimonial law especially. And that's the question I get asked like at every party or dinner that I go to. Why did you decide to do this? Um, I mean, it boils down to I went to law school. Um, it was the recession. People weren't hiring when I graduated college. So I thought, okay, I'll go to law school. Um, but I didn't really have a direction. And once I got there, I was smart, I was doing really well, but I just wasn't, I just thought like this isn't for me. Um, and then I had a professor who said, keep going and look into a field where you can be really client connected. And he suggested immigration, he suggested a district attorney's office, and he suggested matrimonial. I thought, you know what, that sounds really interesting. And I literally like went to the next room. I Googled matrimonial firms in Manhattan. I found a firm where there was an associate who went to St. John's, which is where I went to law school. I emailed her, and right then and there, she helped facilitate an internship for me at a big matrimonial firm in Manhattan. And I never looked back.
That is pretty incredible. Actually, the first story where so you got into the field out of necessity. It was just like, well, nobody was hiring. Let me give it a try. And it's definitely not an easy field to get into because you are dealing, it's not just dividing, financial assets. You're dealing with emotions. Um, these are the most important decisions that will impact people's lives and their children's lives. I mean, I mean, you've been practicing, for a while. You didn't start yesterday, but how has it been for you dealing with, the emotional part?
It's something that I'm just good at. Um, it's always been something I've gravitated to, is just being able to not take things personally, to
Art.
yeah, it is. And I know some people like, they're like, my clients are screaming at me, opposing counsel screaming at me. And I'm like, yeah, I just have that empathy of everyone, they're in a really bad place. And I think my clients sense that from me. Um, And so that just makes it me, I think, a great fit for this field. I don't know that I'd be great at sitting and looking at contracts all day, right? I think that part of our field is, like you said, being a therapist, right? Understanding people's emotions and why they're doing the things that they're doing and trying to help them through. Um, it's a large piece of the job.
Yeah, this is gosh, I've interviewed so many practitioners and they would all agree that if you want to get into this field, understand that this is a career. This is not a job, and it carries tremendous amount of responsibility. And I think despite what some people think that you have to be loud, you have to be screamer, you have to be intimidating, to be a zealous advocate. I certainly personal opinion because I had found the opposite to be effective. Number one, having gone many years ago through my own transition and then just sort of being in the field, what is your view of that?
Oh my gosh, we only have 20 minutes, but I could talk about it forever. In fact, during COVID, I wrote a piece for the Women's Bar Association newsletter about this exact topic, about how people think that zealous advocacy is screaming and being obnoxious and just digging your feet in. And that's not zealous advocacy. You can be a zealous advocate and be calm and be respectful. And that doesn't mean you're not advocating for your client. Certainly you should be. Um, but just that, that nastiness. And I think that there's such a place for it in matrimonial law, perhaps because we take on the emotions of our clients. Um, and again, I'm not saying don't sympathize with your client, don't, be strong, but that doesn't mean you have to be nasty. And I think that it works, it just really works the opposite, right? Someone's mean to me, it's I don't want to help you out or do you a
Yeah.
favor, or it's not good for the clients either.
No.
Um,
Mm-mm.
it, go ahead.
I'm curious because your energy is it comes through very confident, sort of resolute and practical, um, and definitely someone who would be able to get their point across and guide them toward resolution. I wonder, what were you like as a younger girl? Have you What was your temper like? Do you remember getting into like arguments or being competitive? And have you sort of like tempered yourself over the years? Have you always been like that?
If my friends watch this, they're gonna laugh because I'm super competitive. I'm always, even with my son, now he's gotten it from me. We're always racing. We're always, wait, like if it's a board game, I'm taking it so seriously.
Funny.
That's just I mean, I'm an Aries. Now some people are into astrology, but it's that strong, fiery, competitive nature. Um, and I think growing up had a bit of a temper, held some grudges. But I think part of growing up is harnessing things that might not be so great about yourself and, not getting rid of them, but finding a way to make them work for you, right? So instead of, you know, screaming at an adversary, I, take that energy and channel it into, my brief writing, or, I'm just going to sit here and, do all the legal research that I need to do to, combat what they've said to me. Um, and so you just take that and make it into a positive. That's what I try to do.
That is such a powerful message to you're not trying to get rid of it. It's like don't let that sort of a tempered voice fool you. And that's great, but you're not trying to get rid of it. You're trying to you embrace the fact, accept the fact that it's part of you, but you can channel it differently. And I love that because many people, I think the more you try to resist of all these parts that just sort of come through, and I can only imagine that, dealing with so many emotions, a lot of these parts get triggered. It's just like recognizing them, going, I hear you. Not our time now.
Right,
And
right.
because at the end of the day, you carry all this and then you have to walk through that front door of your home and be there, not losing the sense of yourself and be there for your family and just be, not bring all that stuff in. And that's not easy.
No, it's not, but I'm really fortunate because my husband is also an attorney. And we met in law school. And so he is really interested in what I do, and I'm interested in what he does. So we, it's nice to be able to talk about cases, and he's familiar with stuff that I do, and so it's great to have that to talk about. um, when we get home. So it's like I don't have to just bottle it all up inside. We can have fun conversations about what I'm doing. And he's super supportive. So that's always great to have at home.
That's great. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I same thing with my husband. We don't talk like specifics, but being in a business, it's somebody actually said, "Oh my God, I wouldn't want to have a dinner with you too," because you enjoy it. I mean, I think when we're in it, it becomes sort of part of your life. It's not just a job, so it makes sense. It sort of occupies your mind. You know, if you woke up tomorrow and you couldn't practice law, you couldn't be a lawyer, what would you do? What would be your other career?
Well, my dream career would be to be an actress or be in the movies. Um,
Really?
I was just having this conversation with my partner. Um, and yeah, I guess that kind of fits into being a lawyer, right? When you're up there, eyes are on you. There is a performative element to what you're doing, to presenting your case, to selling your services to a client, to even dealing with a client, right? Sometimes you might want to act a certain way towards them and you have to
Yep.
channel a different character
Yep.
to help get your point across to them. And so maybe those skills overlap if I ever get tired here, do some auditions.
That's yeah. Do I'm sure we all of us do that, like the singing in a shower or no when we think no one's looking, pretending to be somebody else, talking to ourselves but you're right. You kind of put on this hat. It is really performance. And yeah, that's actually that's great. Wow. What what do you do? What do you do when you're not working? Like, what is your reset?
Well, I have two little kids, so they're not my reset, but they're all a lot of what I'm doing when I'm not working. Um, but being kind of extroverted person that I am, my reset is being with people, seeing my friends. My sister and I are so close, and I'm fortunate that she lives nearby and she has two kids the same age as my two kids. So going to see her, just being out and about. I'm not someone who likes to like rest and recharge or go hike. I'm a city girl, born and raised. That's not my outlet. My outlet is um, just going and doing stuff and seeing people. So it might not sound relaxing, but to me, that's a recharge.
Yeah, no, I was just talking to another guest and we talked about being introvert versus extrovert. Like for me, I'm an introvert who operates in the extroverted world very comfortably, and there are parts of it that I love, and there are parts of it that sort of drain me. So it's important that I recharge. My way of recharging would not be throwing myself and being around people. It's like by the end of the week, my husband and I were sort of this antisocial couple. It's a couch and a puppy and a show. By Friday, it's like we're zapped. And the thought of going out with like three other couples and then starting dinner at 9 p.m., it's like, no. So,
My husband's like that.
so, and I admire people who can do that. They're like, no, let's go. It's Friday. Let's do this. So that's great to have that awareness. How do we're obviously we have sort of transitioned into the virtual world, mostly, or COVID has given permission to operate in that world. And there is this argument as to what's the best way for younger up and coming attorneys to really, build their practice, and how much of it is still showing up in person versus virtually. What would be your advice and your experience?
So there are so many great things about the virtual transition, right? E-filing being one of them. Um, Short court appearances, not having to spend your client's money going all the way down to court. But if given the chance, I always choose an in-person appearance, if it's something substantive. Um, just there is something to going down to court and seeing a judge face to face, seeing other attorneys, right, who are there waiting and catching up and, oh, remember when we had that case together? I mean, that, even those little moments build relationships. Um, and those relationships are so important. I mean, there are so many professionals that I, I will text, hey, I have a question. Have you ever dealt with this? Have you ever dealt with that? Do you know someone who does this? And those are people that I met at functions or, working on a case and catching up and seeing them in court. So I would say to young attorneys, it's so important um, to
Yeah.
try to get that face to face.
Mm.
Um,
And completely unrelated to the law, what what shows are you binging right now? I know you have young kids, so I don't know if it's like any free time, non-kid time. It's like, that's it. We're or do you and your husband watch any shows?
yeah. So we choose our shows together because we don't have a lot of time. And so we know
Right.
if we watch separate shows, we'll never see each other. Um, so we just started rewatching Dexter,
Ooh, wow.
which is an oldie but a goodie.
Dark. Yeah,
Yeah.
intriguing. Yes.
And he's never seen it. I've seen it once. So it's fun to do a rewatch and also see him. But it's a great show. So that's where I am right now. And we're able to binge it because it's all out because it's an old show. But if
You
you
know
have
that
recommendations for new shows, I'm taking them.
are you what genre are you into? Is it like a criminal? What is it like a
No. So
no?
I'm not like I watch true crime. Like that's not usually me. Um, but at night I do like a longer like drama show. So
You've seen
mm,
Suits, obviously, right?
seen Suits.
Okay. Yellowstone.
We were thinking of checking that out next.
You know why? Because it has the business element to it as far as the beautiful scenery, and then you have the intergenerational. Um, well, it's basically like a dynasty of generations of families trying to protect the ranch land, and Montana is beautiful. Um, and it definitely has a drama effect to it. There's some intensity to it. Boy, I sound like a movie critic. We've only watched it like 2 or 3 times. That was yeah, that's what we're enjoying.
Okay, yeah, that's my our associate loves Yellowstone. I think she's one of the characters for Halloween, so she recommended it to me. Oh, it's on the list.
Oh, great. Good to know. She needs to be on my show then.
Oh, she's great. She's wonderful.
Wow. This has been really insightful. I enjoy how you have this great self-awareness and great insight into what it takes to be effective attorney, family law attorney. And that I think that was such a highlight because I think many people get caught in what 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 do I need to come out and look like, in order to be effective. So I think that was really helpful. So thank you for sharing that. And it sounds like you have a great balance. And I'm sure we'll have you back during like a special segment. So thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thanks for having me. This is so fun.
And then to our viewers and listeners, to find out how to get a hold of Gabriella Formosa and also more about her work, then make sure that you check out the link to her bio actually below on the website, and make sure that you subscribe to our Beyond the Bar podcast channel and follow us on all social media channels, which are linked below. And until next time, stay curious and inspired.